All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We had an executive session. No votes were taken during the executive session. So I know public hearing is on first, but Paul, are you ready to go with for the pledge?
Yep.
Why don't we stand for the pledge? Come on, Paul. There you go. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. The first public hearing is the public hearing on the fire protection contract for the town of Kent with the Lake Carmel Fire Department. I make a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
As everybody knows, we have two fire departments in the town of Kent. The Lake Carmel Fire Department is a fire protection service that we contract with. And we have before us a contract for the fire department. We worked very carefully with the fire department for this year's budget and ended up through the officials at the fire department with their counsel, were able to come up with a contract that had an increase of only 0.76%, which was pretty amazing. I think, you know, having a fire department, an all-volunteer fire department, is pretty spectacular, that people are willing to run into, you know, buildings that other people are running out of. We have a really fantastic fire department, and like I said, they worked really hard with us because we had a higher number coming into negotiations, and instead of saying, you know, take it or leave it, they really, I mean, we sat down, we really figured out ways to save money, and they were very happy to do it because, let's face it, they live here too. We had already authorized a third of the payment to go to the fire department because clearly they cannot, you know, be unfunded this whole period. So the amount of the contract proposed is $990,879 for the year, which with the amazing work they do, I think is a bargain. Other board members?
I'm in favor of it.
I would also suggest, usually when we have issues on for public hearing that, you know, the public or that are controversial or people really are going to want to weigh in on, we put them over. I want to hear comment, but I would also propose that if people are looking favorably upon this contract, that we put it up for a vote tonight so that we can actually fund our fire department. Anyone else?
I support them 100%. I grew up with the Lake Carmel Fire Department, and I've had quite a lot of friends. I've been to fires with the action, and some of these past presidents and chiefs that I know, that I'm looking at one right now, do an exemplary job. So and they're all volunteer. So I'll support them 110%. As long as we keep that figure down, which was good. We all worked together on that, and I thank the firemen and the board of directors, and you know, they have a really good reputation, and the leadership and some of the guys that I've known are top shelf.
Anyone else? Does anybody from the public want to be heard on this? Public comment?
Stand by.
What's this, our live chat?
Yeah, if people want to comment in, they can. I don't see anything.
I don't see anything either. And I didn't get, my email address goes out with the notice of the meetings, and I haven't gotten any comments.
No, there's
I think we should
nothing
vote
coming in.
tonight.
What?
There's nobody trying to text in the live YouTube stream, and no one's trying to get into the Zoom meeting to comment.
All right, great. So I make a motion that we close the public hearing on the Lake Carmel Fire Department contract.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Should we go right to the, resolution?
It's not on the agenda, so probably.
Okay,
Wanna read it?
okay. Who wants to do it?
I'll do it. What number is it?
It's just the top one in the pack.
No, what number is there? It says resolution with a blank line.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Oh, no, don't worry about that.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to pass a resolution authorizing a contract with the Lake Carmel Fire Department. Whereas the town of Kent desires to contract with the Lake Carmel Fire Department Incorporated, known as the Department for the Provision of Fire Protection Services to the Lake Carmel Fire Protection District 1, the district during the 2020 calendar year. A full and complete copy of the aforementioned contract is annexed here too, referred to herein as the contract. And whereas a duly noticed public hearing on the proposed contract was held by the town board on May 12th, 2020, at which all interested parties had a full and complete opportunity to be heard. And whereas the town board wishes to approve the proposed contract, now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby approves the terms of the proposed contract between the town and the Department for the Provision of Fire Protection Services to the district during the 2020 calendar years in the form annexed here too. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to execute the proposed contract in the form annexed here too, or is substantially the same form as here too, subject to approval of the town supervisor and the town attorney, and any and all other documents as it may be necessary to give full effect to this resolution. Be it further resolved that the town board hereby approves and ratifies any and all acts of the town supervisor and any other town employees regarding the foregoing taken prior to the adoption hereof. I make this motion.
Second.
okay. All in favor? Oh, we have to have roll call.
Yeah. Councilman Denbound? Councilman Denbound?
Yeah.
Can't hear you, Paul.
Yes, I think he said yes. Can't hear you. Okay. Councilman McGlasson?
Yes.
Councilman Eustace?
Yes.
Councilman Ruthven?
Yes.
Supervisor Fleming?
Absolutely.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, I make a motion to reopen the public hearing on foreclosure of mortgages and vacant property registration.
Second.
All in favor? Roll
Aye.
call.
Go.
All right, we opened this public hearing on March 3rd. I think all the board members certainly weighed in on this, the problem of vacant homes and abandoned homes and properties is pretty important in our town, as our deputy supervisor has, you know, made this a real rallying point. And we have contacted ProChamps, which will facilitate a registration process. The town will be able to collect fees from it, and hopefully this will actually lead to some of these properties really being taken care of and improve the look of our town and the situation for our residents that frequently have to live near homes that are abandoned and run down, and it affects not only property values, but it affects quality of life, as you know, Bill has really made it clear. So we have before us the town code change that would allow this process to go forward. My only comment, and we need to discuss, if this does pass, what the fee would be for this registration. Councilman Denbaum has, you know, talked about having like a two-tiered fee system, which is, you know, probably a very good idea. I think that the idea of putting it as a fee, you know, we went through this a couple of years ago when we had fees included in the town code, which meant anytime we wanted to change a fee, we had to change the code instead of doing it by resolution. We have changed that. So we can do this, if this passes this evening, we can do this by resolution at the next town board meeting, what the registration fee was. The only thing in this proposed code section that I kind of have an issue with is section 6816, which deals with penalties. And I discussed this with council prior to the meeting, that there is, it references misdemeanors and what the failure to register would be considered and what the fine would be. And there's nothing in that code, in the code section. And clearly, if it's going to reflect the fines and penalties under misdemeanors, we don't need to put it in this, because that'll just trigger what we've had in the past, that if the penal, you know, if the penal law changes, then we have to redo the entire code section. Nancy, so what was, Nancy, what was your?
Yeah, so we'll just change this to say consistent with the criminal procedure law or the penal code. It's criminal CPL, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the fines will be, the penalties will be consistent with the penalties set forth for a misdemeanor in the criminal procedure law.
So that would be the only change that I propose to this code section. Anyone else? Okay. Does
Did we
anyone-
lose Paul?
Oh, he's there.
Yeah, hey.
Okay. I don't see him anymore.
He's Town of Kent.
Wait,
Paul
Paul
Holman?
or Holman?
Oh, it says Paul Denbaum right next to
That's
you.
right
Paul
there.
Denbaum is here. He's right next to you. He's little.
I don't see him anymore. I lost him.
He's done a second one.
He's there.
Okay. So does anybody want to be heard on this issue?
I mentioned this before, as this starts to gear up, my concern is that our building inspector gets enough support and staff help. This is time consuming, and I know that the fees coming in will help generate some support for the building department and their war on this thing. I think that many of us who have lived in this town for several years, some of us lifetime, and have been around some of the roads, especially our firemen and police, have seen a number of these houses. Some of them we ended up demolishing, but it's very time consuming. And I know the building department puts a lot of time and effort in. And I think this is one way to start to clean up and address some of these problems. It doesn't happen overnight. I realize that, but we do have some homes that have been vacant for a number of years. I've tracked some of these homes that have been not only vacant, but have not been taken care of, and where young couples who want to move to our town and have expressed interest and can't get the time of day. And I'm always concerned that probably our code enforcement or our building inspector might have some trouble finding out who's the managing company of a particular complaint that they have to review. And again, time is money, and it is something to consider that Bill gets some support in this as we transpire. I know we discussed it a little while ago, which could be a good idea, and I won't mention names, but I think he's happy with that person. And hopefully that we get on this. It's been a number of years. I've driven every road and jotted down. In fact, we got another one on the top of Barrett Hill that Bill probably has already, but the mailbox is down. There's wires down on the top of Barrett Hill in that area that people have been writing letters for. I look forward to getting this and supporting it, but also I want to make sure that I want to support the building department in this endeavor. And with Nancy and Pro Champs preparing this and us support, I'm hoping this is a model that will be even better than some of the ones that they give examples for, so we can generate some revenue and one area to beautify our towns. And the next thing I want to try to do is these vacant commercial buildings, and somehow we can take care of a couple of shacks. Anyway, that's my next agenda.
But
Thank
I
you.
also think it's important too for residents to know that if they see a house, if they have concerns, that they should reach out to our building department or any town board member, all the town board members, and, you know, we'll work with them. But if we, you know, people need to let us know what's going on. We can't see every house, and so, but if you let us know, we will take care of it.
Yeah, and I want to make one other situation here. My experience the last few months in getting some letters and working with code enforcement and the building inspector, which really investigate every little complaint. And sometimes, you know, those answers come back a little different from what you get it as an elected official. But recently there has been something in the newspapers and stuff, and this person, I actually sent a return letter to this person. It came back undeliverable. So I don't even know if this person who claims she lives in Kent exists. She could be just a visitor or a relative, but some of the things that were written were looked into, and you know, it's the policy because there's a legal process and a building inspector process that is very important, and they've carried out this and very honorably. And in some situations, you know, that they get corrected, and in some situations a little more time because of a family situation, and but get resolved. And we've got a really good building department, and once again, they're going to need some support attacking the zombie homes.
Right. And also, and to echo Jamie and Bill, this isn't actually, this code section covers not only residential property, but also commercial property and vacant. So pretty much, you know, if you have any issues, just let us know. And our building department is fantastic. Our code enforcer is fantastic, and they follow up and they do their job. And thanks, Bill, for that. So if there's no objection, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there any public comment?
Oh, is there? Well, I
Yeah.
opened it up. I didn't hear anybody.
I don't see anything.
Okay. I don't see anybody with public comment.
Paul Holman, is there anything? Yep, there we go.
No.
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so who made the second to close?
I did, I think.
Thank you.
I think
Roll
I
call.
did.
Do we need roll call?
Back off, Chris.
To close?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. All right. All right. I'll make the motion, I guess. I make a motion for resolution adopting local law 2
Two? Yep.
of 2020, whereas a local law to add a new chapter to the Kent Town Code, Chapter 68, entitled Foreclosure of Mortgages and Vacant Property Registration, was introduced as introductory local law 2 of the year 2020 on January 21st, 2020. And whereas the public hearing on said proposed amendment to the town code was opened on March 3rd, 2020 and continued to May 12th, 2020, at which time the public was invited to attend and be heard on the matter. Now therefore be it resolved that introductory local law number 2 of 2020 is hereby enacted by the town board of the town of Kent, and be it further resolved that a true copy of the law is attached hereto and made a part hereof. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, roll call, please.
Councilman Denbaum,
Yes, I want to commend Bill for his continued advocacy of this and rolling around every street in Kent and doing everything he does and poking his nose everywhere to make sure that we got this right. I think this will give us the teeth we need to get these abandoned homes turned around. And so it's been a long time coming. It's probably too long, but Bill deserves a lot of credit for getting this from nothing to now something that the town can work with to really enforce and to provide a better quality of life for all of our residents and neighborhoods. So thanks, Bill.
Councilwoman McGlasson,
Yes.
Councilman Eustace,
I'm going to say yes, but I'm also going to relinquish my title as the zombie hunter. And I'm giving it to my buddy, the building inspector, because I know he'll do a commendable job. He's done a commendable job, not only in the building department, but in the Lake Carmel Fire Department. And it'll be a model. And let's work on this. The quality of life, and this is one factor. And definitely yes. And again, thank you for my colleagues putting up with me. And now it's Bill Walters.
Councilman Ruthven,
Yes.
Supervisor Fleming,
Yes, and I'd also like to thank Bill for his tireless work on this. And I'd also like to thank Town Council Nancy Tagliaferro, who actually found this company, recommended them to us. And if we can solve the problem of these vacant and abandoned properties, and it brings revenue to the town, you know, kudos all around. So absolutely yes. Thank you.
motion carried.
Thank you.
Feel like clapping.
Okay, we already had the pledge. So, you know, May rolls around and everybody is always excited for the annual stormwater report. I know it's one of the highlights of my year. And tonight, joining us, we have Bruce Barber, who is the town environmental consultant and stormwater consultant, to make the presentation.
Thank you, Maureen. I apologize. I had made popcorn for everybody, but unfortunately I can't get it to you at this late date. But I appreciate the opportunity to come to speak with you this evening. As Maureen alluded to, this is our opportunity to provide to the town board as well as the residents of Kent how the town has fared in compliance with their stormwater management permit regulations under the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Basically, the reporting period is from March of 2019 through March of 2020. And this report is reflective, really, of a tremendous team effort in stormwater management. This is really a report that documents the hard work of almost virtually every department in town in some way, shape, or another, contributing to the material in this report and ultimately the compliance of the town with the DEC requirements. And so this is the town supervisor and town board, of course, and the town clerk and town attorney, the planning board and the planning department and the town engineer, the highway department and his staff, the building inspector, his staff. The building inspector also serves as the stormwater management. So Bill, you're not only the zombie hunter, you're the schmo as well now. So congratulations. Lake Carmel Park District, their staff do a tremendous job, as does the Parks and Recreation staff as well. So basically the board will recall that this report is set up as 6 components, or what are called minimum measures. And I'm going to just go over very briefly the highlights of some of the quantitative data that is presented to you in the report. The report will be then posted online. There'll be an opportunity for questions to be posted during the reporting period, and the report will then be due in DEC's hands on June 1st. So very briefly, I'd like to go over this with you. And of course, if you have any questions, just feel free to fire away. So I'm going to reference report page numbers. And if you have the copies of your report in front of you, those are on the very bottom of each page. They're a little awkward. For example, one says MCM1, page 2 of 4. All that means is minimum control measure number 1, and obviously page 2 of 4 of that section. And that's the first one we're going to turn to this evening. Minimum measure number 1 has to do with public education and outreach. And this number 3 at the top of the page on page 2 of 4 outlines training of construction site operators, where information has been displayed over the last reporting period, the number of presentations, events, etc., and participation, as well as printed materials such as brochures and documents such as newsletters that have been disseminated throughout the reporting period. So there's a lot of opportunity for public education and outreach. There are also, and not being able to be listed here, there is a dedicated, as the board knows, a town stormwater management site on the town webpage, which has a tremendous amount of information, has all the postings of the annual reports in there, links to various other pieces of information. And in addition, there's a separate site for the Lake Association, which also delves a lot into stormwater management. There's a tremendous amount of information on that website regarding everything from Stormwater Management 101 and watersheds, septic system maintenance and construction, reports from the various lakes that have been conducted by lake managers or the DEC, etc. So there's a lot of information out there that's available to the public if they're interested in obtaining it. Moving forward now to minimum control number 2, which is public participation. I want to refer you basically to MCM2, page 1 of 6. And number 1 talks about opportunities and minimum control measure number 2 to have the public participate in stormwater management activities. There was a cleanup, of course, that was conducted beautifully by the beautification committee. And unfortunately, that did not occur for obvious reasons this year, but it did last year. There was many community meetings and events and outreach and stakeholder meetings that occurred throughout the year. In addition, public participation is also measured by the fact that this report is made public this evening, as well as posted on our website. There's an opportunity this evening for residents to ask questions, participate in the report itself, as well as it being posted on the website so that people can ask questions and participate as well. The town board, the planning board, the consultants, meetings, water management for various projects, ordinances, or reviews that are being conducted by the various boards and consultants. So there's a lot of opportunity for the public to be involved. Moving forward, minimum measure number 3, on page MCM page 2 of 4. This is minimum control number 3, has to do with illicit discharge, which basically are discharges from pipe or conveyance systems into receiving waters that do not carry stormwater that are not permitted under the DEC allowable instances. Basically, in this reporting period, you can see that there were 4 illicit discharges detected. These predominantly had to do with septic system failures and discharges, and all 4 of them, as is required, were corrected during the reporting period. Moving forward, minimum control number 4/5, we're going to go to MCM 4/5, page 1 of 2. And the town, this is minimum control measure number 4 and 5, which is construction site and post-construction management control. When a project comes before the town, every project is screened to determine if there is a stormwater management component to be reviewed as well to be permitted. The town, the board will recall, has a very small permittable activity before you need to get a permit pursuant to the DEP, City of New York regulations. The minimum amount of site disturbance that can occur without obtaining a stormwater permit pursuant to the DEP regulations is 5,000 square feet. So there are quite a few of these what are called stormwater pollution prevention plans, or SWIPs, that are reviewed in the town of Kent to ensure that they're compliant with DEP and DEC regulations, and also to ensure that any stormwater activity is controlled and permitted properly. So in this particular period, there were 7 stormwater pollution prevention plans under page number 3 on that page 1 of 2 that were reported. On the next page, MCM 4/5, page 2 of 2, this is from Mr. Walters' department. This is just enforcement. This is about people who either did not follow their permit, or in some instances did not obtain a permit and did work on their property. And as you can see, there were notices of violations, stop work orders, and enforcement actions accordingly. Moving onward to minimum control number, page 4, 1 of 3, so MCM 4, page 1 of 3. What this is talking about in number 3 and number 4 is that once the construction work starts out on the site and they have an erosion sediment control permit, we are required, and Bill Walters does a terrific job, as does the town engineer at times when called upon, Julie Magarillo, to go out and inspect the sites to make sure they're compliant, they've installed their erosion controls in accordance with the plan, again, to reduce potential pollutant loading, erosion coming off the site. So every site has been inspected, and that will continue. It has been the case for several years. Minimum control number, measure 5, is post-construction stormwater management after the construction is complete. Minimum control measure, page 5, page 1 of 3, talks about these post-construction management practices: filter systems, infiltration basins, open channels and trenches, ponds, and other. This is the province of the highway superintendent, as well as the Lake Carmel Parks and Recreation District, as well as the park districts. All of them chip in and do work on various elements of these components. And these are what have been maintained during this reporting period. So lastly, minimum control measure number 6 is stormwater management for municipal operations. We have to keep, it's called good housekeeping, basically. All of our facilities have to be compliant with DEC regulations, et cetera. And they go through an inspection process. But this is, again, the highway department. It outlines how many parking lots were swept. It was 10 acres. Rich Othamer indicates all the parking lots are swept at least once. The number of streets swept is 324 road miles. Catch basins were inspected, and 912 were inspected. Approximately 30% of those were cleaned according to Rich's records. Post-construction measures inspected. We do not apply any phosphorus fertilizer, which is compliant with both town, county, and state law. Nitrogen was applied sparingly in several applications. And that basically is a summary of the numerical aspects of the report. Again, I want to recognize and acknowledge all the tremendous work from the various departments that go into creating those numbers, and the staff people that are involved in the day-to-day work and getting their hands dirty doing this. So does the board have any questions?
Bruce, can we go back to MCM 2, page 1 of 6?
Sure, hold on a second, Chris. 2, sure, what you got?
Why wouldn't we have checked off plantings when we did the trees for tribs around Lake Carmel
Let's see.
with the community helping?
MCM 2, 1 of 6. Chris, that is in the growing season. And actually, I was talking with Brett Harrison. I don't mean to bring names in, but Brett was looking at the plantings, and I'm going to be looking at them later, probably next week. And if we have a percentage of viability, they'll be going in next year's report.
Okay, thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
Bruce,
Yeah.
Bruce, what about the trees that we planted around Lake Carmel? 1 or 2 might have some issues, but that we looked at. Would that be included in this?
Again, once they have a survival period and are recognized as growing, they'll be going in next year's report as well.
Can't hear.
You got to wait to make sure they're still alive, Bill, before we can report it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
if they're growing season.
All right, I know two
Yeah.
are. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Anybody else?
Actually, I do.
Sure.
On MCM 405, page 1 of 2, question 4, it asks if we have a mechanism for receipt and consideration of public comments. I think you might have touched on this. And we've reported that no comments were received. So I just want to clarify because I prepared a resolution setting up a public hearing on this, so that's not necessary. We should just be authorizing the supervisor to sign this evening?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And yes, the comments are afforded this evening, as well as during the comment period while it's posted online prior to June 1st. We will record those comments and respond back to the individual who's had those questions and comments accordingly, and that will be recorded in next year's report as to the responses to those comments.
Oh, thank you, Bruce.
You're
So
welcome.
board, you don't have to read out the resolution. Somebody can just make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign.
Okay, great. If anybody, does anybody, member of the public have any comments or questions for Bruce? No. Bruce, I want to thank you. Bruce actually has, quite a few years ago, provided the guidebook basically for each department and what, what inspections they have to do and what work they have to do to keep us kind of compliant. So all the departments have really, joined in this, but Bruce has really given us the guidelines for doing so and made it kind of easier for our departments to do it. So another great report, Bruce. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. It was good to see you, and please stay safe, and please have your family stay safe and well as well. Take
Thank
care,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
So now we just need to make a motion to authorize.
The supervisor to sign the report.
Okay, so I make a motion for a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign the annual MS4 report. Whereas the town board of the town of Kent is in receipt of an MS4 annual report evaluating the town's progress in implementing the MS4 program, which annual report is available on the town website for public review and comment. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign such report and submit it to the state. I make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Denbaum,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGlasson,
Yes.
Councilman Hustis,
Yes.
Councilman Ruthven,
Yes.
Supervisor Fleming,
Yes,
motion carried.
thank you.
You're welcome.
The next item on the agenda is budget transfers. Unfortunately, our Director of Finance could not participate in this meeting. But as she said in her email, they're minor, mostly a result of a few vouchers that came in after all of the major budget transfers were approved in March. So you can see it's an appropriation of in the general fund of $5,753. There is 0% fiscal impact, zero fiscal impact. And the Lake Carmel Park District was $155. Again, it's just moving money from one line to another with no fiscal impact. And the third one is Lake Carmel Sanitation Department requested a budgetary transfer to increase the appropriation for refuse and garbage contractual by 102 and to decrease the retirement appropriation. And again, the fiscal impact is nil for all these transfers. Anybody want to make any comments? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
You want to read the resolution or? Who wants to read this resolution?
I will. I make a resolution to approve budget transfers for the fiscal year 2019. Whereas the Director of Finance has recommended certain budgetary amendments to the 2019 budget in order to adjust appropriations in the Finance Department, the Lake Carmel Park District, and the Lake Carmel Sanitation Department as set forth in the summary annexed here to and incorporated herein by reference. And whereas the Director of Finance advises that the proposed transfers will have the fiscal impact as outlined on the annex summary, and the town board wishes to accept the recommendations of the Director of Finance. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby accepts the recommendation of the Director of Finance and authorizes the budget transfers as set forth on the annex summary. I make that motion.
Second, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Denbaum,
Yes.
Councilman McGlasson,
Yes.
Councilman Eustace,
Yes.
Councilman Ruthven,
Yes.
Supervisor Fleming,
Yes,
motion carried.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next item, highway. Advertise for bids for tub grinder and equipment to set up for the landfill. We are in receipt of an email from our highway superintendent asking for a per day price from bidders for a tub grinder and the equipment to set up for it. He would like the contract for this to run from June 1st to May 30th, 2020. And he would also like to go out for a bid for an excavator with stump shear, a CBI horizontal grinder, and Hitachi excavator with operator, with the owner contractor to verify all utility locations and confirm all necessary permits.
What were the dates again, Maureen? I didn't know.
To have the contract run from June 1st, 2020 to May 31st, 2021.
For a year.
But we need to do this as soon as we are maxing out on space and need to grow. Unfortunately, he couldn't attend the meeting tonight as well. I don't know if anyone had any questions that they had asked in advance of the highway superintendent, or if we want to have a discussion on this. I hear somebody talking.
It's my house. Hold on.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Joe, you can talk. Oh, yeah, go on.
I think it's needed, and I think we need to go out to bid on this. And let's see what the prices come out.
Anyone else? Do we have any public comment on this? Okay,
Does anybody know what an excavator with a stump shear is? And then there's another Hitachi excavator also with an operator. Is that two different excavators?
excavator stump here. Yeah, on the second email that he sent on, well, it's actually the first, he said, go out to bid on the following items: excavator with stump shear, CBI horizontal grinder, and Hitachi excavator with operator. So I imagine they're two different excavators.
Okay.
Who wants to do it?
I'll do it. I'll make a motion to pass a resolution authorizing the town clerk to advertise for bids for an excavator with stump shear grinder and excavator with operator for the highway department. Whereas the highway department is in need of an excavator with stump shear, a CBI horizontal grinder, and a Hitachi excavator with operator or equivalent equipment for use at the town landfill. Whereas the town board of the town of Kent wishes to authorize its town clerk, Yolanda D. Kelly, to advertise for bids for an excavator with stump shear, a CBI horizontal grinder, and a Hitachi excavator with operator or equivalent equipment for use at the town landfill. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes its town clerk, Yolanda D. Capelli to advertise for bids for an excavator with stump shear, a CBI horizontal grinder, and a Hitachi excavator with operator or equivalent equipment. I make this motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Denbaum?
Yes.
Councilwoman McGlasson?
Yes.
Councilman Eustace?
Yes.
Councilman Ruthven?
Yes.
Supervisor Fleming?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Okay, we have, the next item on the agenda is Lake Carmel Park District. We have two items, the hiring of seasonal park maintenance helpers and a lake management contract. We have two applicants who have applied for the summer position, who have actually worked for the town before, for the park district actually before. And we have a third who has not, and I believe that we are looking to proceed with the hiring of the seasonal park maintenance helpers, the return seasonal park maintenance helpers, Joseph John Alacqua and Sean Luke Ferris. And then we can evaluate if we need further help after this, but we can get those two individuals on board who've had satisfactory work records for the Lake Carmel Park District in the past.
And they're both from Lake Carmel, I believe. It's good.
Yep. Yeah. And they, obviously they were pleased with them in the past. I think they'll do a good job for us again. Any further discussion? We also have before us, we received this in March. In the past, we have worked with Life Incorporated to do Cutrine Ultra treatments of Lake Carmel when it has been deemed, appropriate to do so. In the past, you can't do these treatments until there is a bloom. Hopefully there are no blooms this year, but in the past when there has been a bloom, this is years ago, we weren't able to really treat it until the board had authorized it. So I think it was either last year or the year before, it might have even been 3 years ago, the board contracted with Life Incorporated so that if we did have a bloom, the lake could be treated without, coming before the town board and kind of wasting all that time until the lake was closed, and then, we had to authorize it, then treat it, then be reopened. I mean, unfortunately, nobody knows what the summer season this year is going to bring. Town supervisors speak with the Department of Health 3 times a week on a regular call. And unfortunately, our Director of Environmental Health at this point has no idea if we're even going to be allowed to open beaches or if camps are going to be open. So we don't have any guidance on that. When the lake has been treated in the past, if we have authorized the treatment, it doesn't just automatically, it's not like the owner of the company just automatically goes out. I mean, there is communication between, him and I, and then I communicate to board members, but it doesn't have to go through the formal meeting process. I don't know if the board wants to do this evening or not. I put it on the agenda and sent the letter out. We can discuss it, we can authorize it, however the board wants to handle it at this point.
Maureen, it's similar cost than last year, right?
Yeah, same cost.
This was discussed at the Lake Carmel Park Advisory Board last night. At this cost, I mean, you're talking 17,960, and if we have to go for a third, another 5,500. When do we get into the bid threshold for this? That's a lot of money. Or
We bid this out a few years ago.
is that bid still active? I mean, does that bid last forever? Nancy?
So, no, I mean, we could bid for it annually. It is over the limit on procurement, but it's kind of a specialized service. There's not many companies around that do it.
So I do think that there are other companies. If you talk to the people from the lake committees, they're using other companies than this one. I just want to make sure we're getting the most bang for our buck, and I think it's worth shopping around a little bit. I mean, obviously the lake last year was good, but everybody's lake was good. And, you know, the year before, not so good, but everybody's lake wasn't so good the year before that. So I think we need to be ready. I don't want to waste too much time on this. But at the same time, I'm nervous at those dollar amounts for something that, you know, we might be able to get cheaper somewhere else. And the other thing, Maureen, and I don't remember seeing this last year. I was just reading through this quick. But he goes on to say that he's going to do costs associated. The preparation fees include hydrology work, creating topographical, aerial, and scaled maps of the water body, preparing a downstream model, and notifications to downstream owners as required. Do we get a copy of that? I don't remember seeing that, all that mapping work and everything.
I'll reach out to him. That's what I was saying. If we wanted to just discuss this, I mean, we could always bid this out. You know, we can certainly hope for a season like last season where we actually treated once. I mean, we didn't do the 2 treatments last year and certainly didn't need a third.
And I agree. I think we have to have something in place just in case, you know. I don't want to not have a contract in place, but I mean, I think knowing the procurement stuff, we should probably follow the procurement law, because I do think there are a lot of other lakes in Putnam County that are getting treatments done also.
Now, Nancy,
Mm-hmm.
do we have to, I'm sorry, and I should know this like the back of my hand, but do we have to put out a formal bid for this, or can we?
No, it's under the bidding requirements.
So we can just call these other
Yes.
like management companies and get
Requote.
Okay. All right. So why don't we do that before the next meeting and come back and reconnoiter on this?
If I remember right, a few years back when we did this, he was, the numbers were, you know, the other bidders were higher, but
Yeah,
it
the
goes
other
way
bidders were
back. I
much
have to
higher.
pick on Lana again, but I remember when we did this, and this guy has a local connection here, being involved for many years in the town. So, but I understand where Chris is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, let's make sure we're getting the best price and the best bang for our buck. I mean, that is, you know, one of his advantages is that, you know, he grew up here. He's been, you know, he's very familiar with the lake. But you're right, Chris, there are other lakes use other companies, so.
Maureen, this is kind of a sidebar on that. Do you think through the Lake Management Committee moving forward, we might be able to get into some kind of a group deal where we work with the other lakes, all the lakes as a conglomerate, and contract with, you know, kind of sign up one person and get a better deal for everybody all at once that way?
Yeah, I think that would be a really good use. Unfortunately, a lot of the lake communities that are in the Lakes Association have, you know, pretty fierce loyalty to the company they use. And there are probably maybe 3 or 4 that the lakes are using. But as lakes are looking for consultants, they, you know, they do, I mean, that's one of the beauties of the Lakes Association is that there is that sharing of information. Realistically, a lot of the lakes that are in the Lakes Association aren't swimming lakes to the same extent that Lake Carmel is, or, you know, Palmer is. You know, China and Barrett are kind of a very different situation. So I think it's something we could absolutely encourage, because, you know, I know there are neighborhoods that do, you know, they have contracts with a septic company, and if you use that company, you know, you get a break in the neighborhood. I mean, I know we do that for my lake association. Not everybody goes with the company because, you know, you have that kind of loyalty. But I think we could definitely see if there's interest in doing that. We're having a Lakes Association meeting this Saturday morning, so I'll bring it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Maureen.
Yeah.
Just a very close to topic, but a touch off topic. You said that you've been meeting a few times a week with the Putnam County Health Department, and they don't have a plan yet for opening beaches, etc. Do you think that at the next meeting you can pose the question of how they plan to move forward and how they interpret the governor's decision yesterday to open statewide certain outdoor recreational activities, including tennis? So this was a statement put out by the governor in one of his little press conferences. He tweeted it, he put a statement, and all it says is that on Friday, this Friday, statewide, not regional, that certain outdoor recreational activities, such as tennis, will be open. It's not really a great understanding, but to me, you have to wonder, well, you know, we have tennis courts and basketball courts in some of our parks. We have lakes that get fished on. We have boating. We have beaches where people just can sit far apart and go for a walk. I assume they should be thinking about this. I don't know what else the health department is doing besides thinking about this type of stuff.
Well, and so actually it's kind of interesting. It's interesting that you brought this up because we have, you know, we've brought this up to the health department and they're kind of like not exactly sure. So tomorrow is our regularly scheduled health department call. And then we also, the supervisors also have a call tomorrow afternoon with the county executive, because the way the state is supposed to open regionally is there are regional councils in, you know, in each of the regions that are supposed to make the determinations how this gets done. And the councils are comprised of, I think, a couple of business people. I know in our region, it's all of the county executives of the counties in the Mid-Hudson region. So hopefully tomorrow we'll get a little guidance. And as soon as I get off that second call, whatever guidance I have gotten, I will share with the board, because obviously it impacts all of us and we have to figure out how we're going to open. And everybody, you know, now that we're getting closer to summer, although maybe the past couple of days haven't exactly felt like summer, that's what people are thinking about. So I will absolutely be in touch with the board, and hopefully we'll have some guidance on how we move forward. But I will bring those issues up, Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, so we won't move ahead with the lake management. Do we move ahead with the hiring this evening? Does any members of the public want to be heard on this? Okay. Nope. Okay, so do I hear a motion on the Lake Carmel seasonal park maintenance helpers?
So moved.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
All right, well, okay. I make a motion to pass a resolution to hire seasonal park maintenance helpers for Lake Carmel Park District, whereas the town of Kent is seeking to fill vacant positions for seasonal park maintenance helpers for the Lake Carmel Park District, and whereas the town has interviewed candidates for the position, and Joseph Alacqua and Sean Ferris have submitted resumes and demonstrated the proper qualifications to fill the positions. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the hiring of Joseph Alacqua and Sean Ferris as seasonal park maintenance helpers for Lake Carmel Park District, the hourly rate of $11.80. I make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Denbound,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGlasson,
Yes.
Councilman Eustace,
Yes.
Councilman Ruthven,
Yes.
Supervisor Fleming,
Yes,
a motion carried.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is code enforcement. We have an email from our code enforcer that there was a violation that were issued for correction. They have not been corrected. They were for rubbish, excessive rubbish on the premises, and you can see by the pictures, pretty awful. So Bill Looney, our code enforcer, contacted F.I. Adams, Rona Landscaping Incorporated, and Dirt and Demo Incorporated. Only F.I. Adams Incorporated submitted a bid for $800 to do the cleanup. I recommend that we go forward. Okay.
Let me do this.
Yeah,
Make a motion to pass a resolution authorizing the correction of violations, acceptance of proposal, and charge to property owner tax map number 44.7-1-15. Whereas the code enforcement officer of the town of Kent issued an order to remedy a violation dated April 23rd, 2020, directing the owner to remove rubbish from the exterior of the property identified as 179-183 Hillendale Road, Kent, New York, tax map number 44.7-1-15. And whereas the order to remedy directs the owner to correct the violation or respond to the code enforcement officer within 10 days, and to date, the owner of the property has not responded or corrected the violations. And whereas pursuant to Chapter 55A of the Town Code of the Town of Kent regarding property maintenance, upon the failure of an owner to comply, the building inspector is authorized to correct a violation subject to the approval of the town board, and the town board wishes to authorize the building inspector to correct the violation. And whereas consistent with the town's procurement policy, the town of Kent requested 3 proposals from contractors to correct the violation on the property, and received 1 proposal in response from F.I. Adams Incorporated in the amount of $800. A copy of said proposal is annexed here to incorporated by reference, and now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby accepts the bid of F.I. Adams Incorporated for the correction of a violation at a cost not to exceed $800, and further resolved that the actual cost of the correction of the violation plus to the accrued legal rate of interest from the date of completion of the work shall be charged to the property owner by the town in accordance with Chapter 55A-12, Section B. I don't have the rest of it.
I think that's it.
that's it.
Oh, I make the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Denbow,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGlasson,
Yes.
Councilman Eustace,
Yes.
Councilman Ruthven,
Yes.
Supervisor Fleming,
Yes,
motion carried.
thank you.
You're welcome.
The next item on the agenda is the pro temps contract. So we passed the code section calling for the registration of the vacant and abandoned properties. This is the agreement between the town of Kent and Pro Champs, who will be responsible for doing the registrations, collecting the fees, locating the responsible parties, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the public hearing and the section of the local law. I do think, and we don't have to do it tonight, we have to set the fees, but as is clear from this contract with them, whatever the fees that we set are, Pro Champs gets $100 of the fees collected. If they don't collect any fees, they don't get paid. So the town would have to decide what we're gonna what we're going to have is the fees. Councilman Denbaum originally suggested that we have, different fees for different types of properties. I think the board needs to further discuss that and set the fees by resolution, but this at least gets the ball rolling with pro champs.
Just in the agreement that I'm looking at, it does have a fee in the back, Maureen.
Yeah, we're allowed to set whatever fee we want. That's just an example.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. The important thing is they get $100. So whatever,
I just make sure we get enough to pay for Bill's help.
Right.
I got a tough supervisor when it comes to money, and we want to make sure it's,
Yeah. So I think we need to discuss, and Paul had some ideas about how to structure the fee schedule. I think we need to discuss that, and we can even do that at the next meeting.
I'd like to see, since they have some other contracts, only a few, I think, in New York, but I'd like to see what other towns similar to us are charging.
I can put something together. I can do a survey.
That would be appreciated. That's
That'd be
important.
great. All right. Anybody? Jamie?
I'll make a
Paul?
motion to pass a resolution approving the agreement between the town of Kent and Pro-Trans. Whereas in connection with local law number 2 of the year 2020, adding a new chapter 68 to the town code entitled foreclosure and mortgages and vacant property registration, the town is in receipt of a certain agreement entitled the Agreement between Town of Kent, New York and Property Registration Champions LLC, whereby Property Registration Champions LLC shall provide services to register vacant, abandoned, and foreclosed properties within the town of Kent. And whereas Pro-Champ's fee for services rendered to the town will be paid from the registration fees collected by Pro-Champs at no cost to the town. And whereas the town board believes it to be in the best interest of the town to enter into the agreement with Pro-Champs, now therefore it resolved the town board hereby approves the agreement, and be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor to execute the agreement in form annexed hereto, and any and all other documents in the form satisfactory to the supervisor, and if requested, the town attorney, and to take any and all other necessary or appropriate actions to give effect to this resolution. Make this motion.
Second.
All in favor? Roll call.
Councilman Denbaum,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGlasson,
Yes.
Councilman Houston,
Yes.
Councilman Ruthven,
Yes.
Supervisor Fleming,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next item, and we have a resolution that we kind of don't need. The town board authorized me to go ahead and sign the contract with Fireworks Extravaganza, still kind of on the idea that we would have the fireworks on June 27th as originally planned. After the last town board meeting, I received a call from Brian Hollenbach at Fireworks Extravaganza asking me, are you really going to do this? He, said that basically people are canceling their fireworks displays in June, pretty much left and right. Now, the contract that we would have signed authorized us to cancel as long as we canceled a month in advance without penalty, which is something I negotiated with them because generally there is a penalty for canceling unless it's, due to weather or something. I sent around an email about this. I've had discussion with at least one member of the board about my concerns for actually going forward, since at this point we don't really have guidance. And one of the things that we do on the fireworks day is we have an event in the morning at Ryan's Field. We have, games. We call it the Backyard Olympics. And then the library generally does an event, and then we have the concert at Arts on the Lake, and then culminating in fireworks. And it's really a wonderful day, and people are usually really pretty happy. I think people are going to approach anything of this magnitude with great trepidation. And I don't think, certainly it's already May, I don't think we're going to be able to organize Backyard Olympics. I mean, we're not going to kind of count on people wanting their kids to be all, you know, together. I mean, I know kids are Zooming play dates now. And we certainly can't have, I mean, the library is closed, so the library isn't going to be formulating any events. It really may behoove us to think about trying to do the fireworks in September as part of Kent Community Day, in which we maybe, you know, maybe we'll be out of this awful period, and maybe we can have a full day of activities, do a library activity in the morning, Kent Community Day, you know, maybe concerts and the fireworks at that point. So before I signed the contract that I, you know, have already been authorized to sign, I just wanted to revisit this with the board, because I know at least a couple of us have had reservations about this.
I keep looking at the timeline of the governor's, you know, tiered announcements, which we're not even really into on the 15th, because they're talking more like, I think, beginning of June for us, and doing the 2-week periods until you get to that last one that I think the fireworks kind of fall under. And I don't see how the timing works out for this for us.
Yeah, I don't either.
Community Day weekend.
That's fine. I'll get outvoted. I think it's, you know, it's something else that you can't shoot off fireworks on the 4th of July in America. You can't make it work when you had today zero positive tests in Putnam County. That we have a governor who is statewide going to open some outdoor recreational activities, that we will be into reopening in a week and a half, that drive-in movie theaters are opening. The idea that people in Lake Carmel, I used to live in Lake Carmel, people in Lake Carmel sit out on their decks, put out blankets in their yards all over Lake Carmel, which makes up, you know, 50 to 60% of our population, and watch the fireworks. You know, I just, you know, we were sold this deal that we would all stay inside to flatten the curve, to not overwhelm the healthcare system, where my wife is and many other people are. And we've done that. We upheld our bargain. We all stayed in. We all sacrificed. A lot of people lost their jobs, lost wages. We've done all of this. And now we can't even shoot off fireworks in 6 or 7 weeks from now. I mean, what does that even say about us? I mean,
well, I don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, yeah. Will it be Backyard Olympics in the library? No. But is it something that I think a lot of people would like a little normalcy on the 4th of July, to have the 4th of July weekend and look up and see the fireworks they see every darn year in the town of Kent over Lake Carmel? I think that's worth something, you know, and, you know. Listen.
I agree with you 100%, Paul, 100%. I would vote in a heartbeat to do them. I just don't know if we're going to be allowed. You know, we can't go against the state mandate. How do we, if it's not allowed by the state, and in Putnam's, you know, we had a zero curve here, but we're lumped in with Westchester. You know, we're lumped in with those other counties.
Rockland.
I have to say, I'm looking at the Putnam County COVID-19 dashboard. That it was updated yesterday, so it wasn't updated today.
Yep.
And they added 14 new cases, confirmed cases. They added 9 new active cases. They added 3 cases in the town of Kent. We've got, you know, 11 people hospitalized. We have 56 deaths. They had 1 death reported yesterday. So, I mean, thank goodness that it's starting to flatten, but we haven't gone 14 days without new cases, which is kind of one of the the benchmarks. And I
No.
mean, every day that the health department reports, we haven't been on one call since this started, when the county was reporting 0 for days, and then all of a sudden was reporting, 50. We haven't had one call one day where the cases haven't gone up. So
Well, that's, I mean, I don't know what the county health department did not report today. The county health department then puts a link in the official New York State Department of Health,
Mhm.
all their numbers that Cuomo relies on, who puts on a little PowerPoint and actually updates his little regional tractor every day with. And you can go there right now. And positive cases for yesterday, 511, which is reported today in Putnam County, is 0. And the 14-day trend down, our region, which includes Westchester, Putnam, Rockland, our region has met that benchmark.
Well, and like I'm saying, I think we've met 5 out of 7 in the region. We're going to have a call tomorrow with the county executive and the supervisor, and who knows what they're going to tell us. I mean, I just think that it's irresponsible to sign a contract with the company if we don't think we can go ahead with doing it.
Well-
And I know people would love to see it. I mean, the problem is, if we have to do social distancing, I'd love to see fireworks. Seeing the fireworks is one of my favorite things, but people that are sitting and having their groups at home are great. I mean, I don't know if you've seen like 311, how many, like hundreds of people sit close together on 311. And
Maureen,
yeah.
Maureen, we're forgetting another factor that was discussed last time. That's money. The town is only allowed to come up with 5,000. And I remember, I think that they raised 6,000 or 7,000 in the community. Our local businesses have been hit significantly.
Absolutely.
Some of them will never be back. They're really hurting. And that should be another factor, unless we're just going to do the $5,000 deal. And maybe get a few little donations, but the thing that Councilman McGlasson said at one point, about our local businesses, and we need to support them. For years, the businesses supported Little League teams, our baseball teams, our community day, our winter festival, the Chamber of Commerce. Right now, they're hurting significantly, and some of them, again, might not make it. And I think that's a factor, since we got to do fundraising. And it's a factor. There's no 4-H fair right now because of the fundraising and the volunteer corps. And there's a bunch of other things going on that have been canceled. I see where Paul's coming from. I think we all need that right about now. But there's other factors, and it's the money situation paying for this.
No one wants to cancel the fireworks, but wait, what about this? So we have to sign it by May 27th?
We have to cancel by May 20th.
Okay. When is our next board meeting?
That's what I was going to say. So originally, our next board meeting was the 19th. I don't know, since we had it today, if we want to schedule the next board meeting for the 26th, or if we want to hold it next week. It's up to the board. I'm okay. either
Couldn't
way.
we technically wait
Yeah,
the week or whatever and make the call at the very last minute?
absolutely. When we have
It'll
more
buy us a little time. Maybe, miracles happen. Think
Yeah.
positive.
we could.
And
I
hopefully
mean,
we
they have kind of
money.
asked that we let them know as soon as we know, because, I mean, let's face it, they're going to be really hurting this year. I'm sure, I'm sure cities are canceling, not just, towns like us, that they make a lot more money.
I
from.
know.
But, I mean, everybody loves the fireworks.
Let's hold out a little bit of hope for another week or so until we have to make the call. I think we have a little bit of time.
I'm good with that.
Is everyone good with that?
I'm good with
do
that. My point simply is, when it's 70 degrees on Saturday, head down to Lake Carmel Park District and see the social distancing going on. See how many people, when the weather gets to 77, 78, 79 and sunny on the weekends, that people aren't going to be out. So my point is that in a month and a half, just shoot off the darn fireworks. People will be, go to Home Depot, check out ShopRite. go, you could, every day I drive into work, you see more and more cars going by. So, I think we have to start thinking about reopening and not about, a bunch of county executives who have as much public health experience as my daughter, making decisions about when we can shoot off some fireworks.
Well, so that leads to, do we want to have our regularly scheduled meeting next week, or do we want to push it off another week?
We push it off another week. It gives us more time to potentially have the fireworks, so.
Can they wait until the 27th, 28th?
Will be the 26th is our
Well,
next meeting.
I mean,
No,
the
no.
contract, they want signed as soon as possible. The last day to cancel is the 27th. So,
Can we let them know the 28th if that's, when is our meeting, the
No, we can
26th?
let them know the 27th. The meeting's on the 26th.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do the 27th.
so we'll
Yeah.
change the meeting to the 26th.
But you
Yeah, I
gotta
also think,
figure out the money.
I also think it would be helpful to meet on the 26th because hopefully we can have some sort of real meeting again. Because, this is not the best forum to have the public seeing new laws passing and budgets passing and everything. We need to start planning to get back to that too.
Okay.
That is grievance day. Will they be using them?
Oh,
if
that's
we,
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, do they come at
Well,
night?
no, so they're planning to do Zoom grievance, but you're right. We don't want to conflict with that, do we?
I don't know. What time are they going to do that?
Hold on. They are going to, they're going to do it virtually by appointment.
So I guess if you could ask them maybe to do it before, not conflicting with our meeting.
Yeah.
Because we will, if we're doing a Zoom, we can't all use the same equipment either, I'm sure.
Right. Good point, Lana.
Well, grievances aren't taped. Grievances aren't public TV, are they?
No, it's not being broadcast. They're just doing it through the Zoom forum. I don't think that would be a conflict if they're not broadcast.
It shouldn't be.
Maureen, another question to ask the fireworks company if they're getting a lot of cancellations is, could we move it to another weekend, closer to the 4th, the weekend after, give us a little more time? If people cancel one.
The weekend after is the 4th.
Yeah. I mean,
That's a
that'd-
great idea, Chris.
that'd
Because
give
it
us a
used to
little
be,
time to buy there.
Yeah, I'll call him tomorrow and see what other options we have.
that's a good idea because we always didn't want to do it on that weekend because of money and availability and everything. But
With cancellations, there might be open slots.
yes, that's a good idea.
Okay. Okay, I've been asked. All right, so you know what? Why don't we check with our, videographer and with our assessor just to make sure we can do the 26th. So let's not maybe set anything in stone tonight about the meeting, and then we can, put something on the website.
How about having the town board meeting on the 19th?
That's Paul Holman. And yeah, Paul, so do you have a conflict on the 26th? Is that why you asked?
Yeah, I do a little bit, yes. Nope, nobody knows how long the grievance day Zoom meetings are going to go for. A lot of folks are home, they get a lot of time on their hands, so a lot of people may be trying to do that.
All right, and you are doing that with them?
Yes.
Hmm.
Can we have the town meeting on the 19th?
That's next week.
Next week?
Mm-hmm.
I don't hear Chris. I know, I see him
Said
moving.
if the conversation with the fireworks company does open up the possibility to extend it, could we do it the week after? It'd be into June by that point, right?
Well, we have our first meeting then in June, so.
Yeah, we have, I mean, that's, if, if we only want to have one meeting in May, if we don't want to have another meeting next week, we can do the first meeting in June is, what is it, like June 2nd, I think?
June 2nd.
You don't
Yeah.
think we should have one next week just to update if there's all this information coming through and parts of the state are opening on Friday? It might be
All
good to
right,
have
so then why don't we just stick with the 19th?
the 19th and June 2nd, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is stormwater management agreement for Putnam Nursing Home and Rehab. Nancy, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah. So this is for the Putnam Nursing and Rehab Center as part of their approvals for the expansion that they recently presented to the board. The owner had to enter into a stormwater management facilities inspection and maintenance agreement with the town, which authorizes the town to do periodic inspections to make sure that their stormwater management facilities are working properly. And they've also executed, which isn't part of our package, but important for you to know, an easement agreement that allows the town, it gives them the authority to enter on the property pursuant to the easement. So they're asking that the supervisor sign this. And this has been thoroughly reviewed by Jeff Battistoni, who advises the planning board. Can't hear you, Chris.
So I'm okay with it. I'd like to not read the whole thing, just make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign it. Oh, wait, there's a shorter resolution than this whole contract. I'll read that.
I have no problem going forward on this.
You ready?
Yep.
I make a motion to approve a resolution approving Putnam Acquisition, is that 1 LLC and Putnam Acquisition 2 LLC, Putnam Nursing Home and Rehabilitation Center, Stormwater Management Facilities Inspection and Maintenance Agreement. Whereas as a condition of approvals by the Planning Board of the Town of Kent, Putnam Acquisition 1 LLC and Putnam Acquisition 2 LLC have submitted an agreement entitled Stormwater Facilities Inspection and Maintenance Agreement, a copy of which is annexed here too. And whereas the agreement requires the owners to allow for periodic inspections by the town of the stormwater management facilities serving the Putnam Ridge Nursing Home and Rehabilitation Center, and whereas the town board recommends the approval of the agreement, now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby approves the agreement, and be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor to execute the agreement in form annexed here too, in any and all other documents in a form says supervisor, and if requested, the town attorney, and to take any and all necessary or appropriate actions to give effect to this resolution. I make this motion.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Councilman Denbaum,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGlasson,
yes.
Councilman Eustace,
Yes,
Councilman Ruthven,
Yes.
Supervisor Fleming,
Yes.
motion carried.
Two more things.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Employee Assistance Program Renewal Agreement. I put this on and I was thinking we might vote on it tonight, but since we are definitely having another meeting, we don't need to vote on it, which I think will give members of the board an opportunity to really review it and, email any questions or contact EAP or, we can bat it around perhaps before next meeting if anybody has any questions. I kind of would not like, I'm not sure what's in the board members' packets. I certainly wouldn't want to discuss the number of employees assisted or the categories they were assisted in a public forum, even though it wouldn't involve names. I don't know if, you know, if members of the town force would feel comfortable then going out to EAP if that information was necessarily going to be disclosed. So again, since the renewal is for June 1st, we have a little time for this. I mean, if the board
Okay.
wants to move forward, but I don't think it's necessary to just ask the board to read through this and approve it tonight. I'd rather workshop it and then do it at the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Mhm. Vouchers.
Vouchers.
I'd ask the town board to approve the following vouchers as of May 12th, 2020. They're over the threshold. Best in Backyards, $4,098 for a recreation shed at Ryan's Park. City Carting, $7,195.19 for Lake Carmel garbage. Hogan and Rossi, $5,416.63 for legal services for the month of May. Nycomco, $2,846, two-way radios for the Kent Police. Purchase Power, $2,000 for postage. Ask you to approve these as read.
Excuse me, can we add one more? The Lake Carmel Fire Department, the rest of their contract?
Oh, very good.
I just don't know the number, but
And also the remaining of the Lake Carmel Fire Department's contract
thank you.
noted earlier, I believe, in the public hearing.
It's the 2/3 of the, it's 2/3 of the full contract amount since we've already paid 1/3.
Please approve as read. Thank you.
Second,
Okay, second?
second,
Okay. Councilman Denbaum?
Yes.
Councilwoman McGlasson?
Yes.
Councilman Eustace?
Yes.
Councilman Ruthven?
Yes.
Supervisor Fleming?
yes,
Motion carried.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Since there's not much going on, I don't have a lot of announcements. We have, I'll put this flyer up on the website, Helping Our Neighbors in Need. There's a drive-through food drive, Saturday, May 16th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's being run by the United Way of Westchester and Putnam. And the United Way is running the entire operation. They are asking for juice, rice, pasta, spaghetti sauce. All of this will be on the town website. It's already on the town Facebook page. There will be a truck in the parking lot of the Kent Town Hall. And if you want to drop off a donation, again, it's Saturday, May 16th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's all I have. Anyone else?
Are we going into executive session or not? We're okay?
I think we're okay.
Okay. Very good. I'll move we adjourn.
Do we have
Public
any
comment?
comment?
Yeah.
Hello,
No, yeah, there's no public comment yet.
Oh,
That's-
wait,
I think Sue's talking.
yeah. Public comment, Sue Kotzer, Town of Kent, Kent Recycling. Royal Karting, what happened to that voucher? I know there was an error and it was corrected, and Jamie, I believe you're a liaison, and I got it back to you through the police department.
Yeah, and I signed it and it was in the basket, so.
So was it announced?
It's not on the list. I didn't know that there was a problem. I'd have to check with Lauren. Everything was okay with it, Jamie?
Yes,
Do you remember the amount?
I don't.
Do you remember it, Sue?
I do not have that paperwork with me, sorry.
But you know what? We're gonna have a meeting next week, so we can just add it to the next week.
Okay, just know it's late because there was an error on Royal Karting's. And
Okay,
the
so maybe we can call them tomorrow, tell them that we're gonna add it to the next week. I'm sure they'll
Okay,
be.
great. Okay,
Okay.
great. Okay. Also, I have another comment. About 3 weeks ago, someone complained to the Putnam County Health Department stating that the volunteers and others at the recycling center were not practicing social distancing and that KRC was accepting recycling on Saturday along with garbage drop-off. Luckily, the weather has been cooperating on Saturdays. So we've been putting all our recycling bins outside that we can. And I don't know who this person was that was on the premise. I don't think it was a member. I think it was somebody just checking us out. And you know, our things were outside in the fresh air, sunshine. And so Tony Adonisio came up this past Saturday. Of course, you know that she's our rep with the county legislature. And she brought us masks and checked everything out and said that we were in compliance with the governor's rules and that we can continue operating the way we are. So we'll keep our distance and we'll use the masks that she supplied us with. And we're open on Saturdays only for garbage, and we are doing recycling. Our free buildings are closed. We are not opening them to the public, or I should say to our members, because it could be tight quarters in there. So just want to let you know that Ken Recycling is doing their part in keeping the community safe. And also fireworks, I think, hey, have them in the middle of August. Why wait for a special day? Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Sue. And Sue, let me tell you, you guys do a great job. And I don't know who complained to the county, but certainly we have not received any complaints about
Well,
recycling.
The county then notified Bill Walters,
Okay.
and Bill Walters contacted me, and I think I think we corrected it. You know, he said there's no problem up there, but hopefully we stop this lunacy that's going on with who's doing the distancing and who's not doing the distancing. We're marking up the parking lot with chalk, 6 feet. We have a pole. We're marking it every Saturday morning, and yeah, we're doing our part.
Okay. If you guys need gloves, let me know.
No, I bought gloves way before this whole thing started.
Okay.
We got tons of gloves,
Okay.
masks, gloves, sanitation thing. No, we're pretty well equipped. Thank
Okay,
you very
great.
much, though.
Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. Do I hear
Move
a
we
vote?
adjourn.
Second, roll call.
Councilman Tenbaum. Councilman McGlasson.
Yes.
Councilman Hustis.
Yes.
Councilman Ruthven. Supervisor Fleming.
Yes, thank you all for
Motion carries.
watching. Take care.